all this final session is on competing in a changing and increasingly competitive market, unify supply chain systems for an end-to-end business strategy. And I already have a moderator of this session, Ms. Varija Bajaj, founder of Varija Lifestyles, on stage. And now I'd like to invite all our panelists. Let's welcome Mr. Anurag Verma, Head Demand Planning, Pidilite Industries Limited. Let's welcome all of them with a round of applause, please. Why not? Let's welcome Mr. Chetan, Singhal, Associate Head Demand Planning, Perfetti Melle, India Private Limited. Mr. Pratap Singh Chauhan, Senior President, Supply Chain, IB Group, ABIS. Mr. Vijay Kumar, Vice President, Supply Chain, Ghodawat Consumer Limited. Mr. Amol Prasadi, Head Supply Chain, Metro Brands Limited. Where is all the energy? Okay. As I said earlier, don't lose hope because, we have some more prizes to be given after this session. Don't lose hope. Okay. Moving on, our next speaker is Mr. Saurabh Garg, Head Enterprise Architecture, Supply and Procurement, Diageo. Okay. We'll try to rectify that. Okay. Okay. And last but not the least, let's welcome together Mr. Rahul Kale, Head of Sales System Logistics, India Private Limited. So here we have all our speakers on stage and a moderator all there. Varija, over to you. Let's start.
Are the mics operational?
You don't have the mic?
No, are the mics operational?
Yeah, it's on.
No.
Yeah.
Lovely. So I think my panel got scared of me and they made sure that they started sitting from the extreme end and finally close to me. But thank you so much and what a lovely day it has been and very, very inspiring hearing all the people here and the panelists from other sessions. And I think there has been one common thing in all the sessions, how are we going to combat the change and the change that has been coming in a very big way at a very fast speed. I think that was the common thread across all the sessions that we've been hearing during last 2 days. I remember my first Hotmail account used to be in 1999 and then came the Facebook, which was in 2007, 2008, 10 years. Then came the Instagram and then the LinkedIn and then the Twitter. So the change that was coming every 10 years got reduced to 5 years and then 3 years and then 2 years. And now post-COVID, you have the change coming in every second. You have the ChatGPT, you have the NFTs, you have the metaverse and AI and God knows what not. And that is what we are going to be discussing here, supply chain. If such a conference was held 15 years ago, supply chain was a separate segment which was never involved in the mainstream decision making, especially at the design phase or the planning phase. But here we are. I think it is very important for the entire organization and supply chain, of course, being at the forefront of execution to be an integral part of the planning of the design and from the day one. And here we are. I can talk about e-commerce. Today, if I have my design being from the fashion and the design background, if I were to design something, my production and my dispatch team sits with me at the design table. And that's where I would like to bring in Anmol here, he being from Metro Brands and Shoes. Anmol, have you seen a similar change in your industry, both of us being from the lifestyle segment, especially post-COVID, and if it has been, have you been able to overcome the challenge or do you see it coming in a different way in the coming times?
Thank you. So first of all, let me welcome all the supply chain professionals and my co-panelists in the wonderful Express Logistics and Supply Chain Conclave. And as aptly said by you, people have been spoiled for choices. Okay? The number of companies, number of fashion brands, number of designs, what has been coming, you will see every day there's a new product getting launched in the market. And earlier, if I say 5 to 10 years back, the amount of shoe pairs you had in your wardrobe, and if you see today what a person has dramatically gone up. 10 years back, anybody would have a maximum 3 to 4 pairs. Okay, in average I am saying, but today I see 10 pairs at least average people are holding, and if I say only females, every dress color they have shoe pair. Okay, so that is a challenge. If you see the color of the year is sea green, yes, last year it was purple. So people are buying shoes as per the occasion, they are buying shoes as per the dressing, they are buying shoes as per the festival, and we as a company has to make it available. And this makes supply chain more complex, because earlier there were 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Okay, we had spring, winter and all those summer seasons. Now there is different season, different festival, and in a land of festivals. So every month we have to have a new range of products getting launched, and as the season goes, overnight the season changes, we have to have the next product line coming in. So from supply chain point of view, we have to keep on ensuring that all these new products are available as per the festival, the seasons which are going up. Secondly, the sizes. Okay, so we today at Metro Brands have 800 stores across India. We refill or replenish all our stores on daily basis, because as one size goes, that size has to immediately be refilled at the store level, because if you say our Indians have very unique sizes like 42 in men, 36 to 39 in female, and if the size is not available, the customer will not shop at your store. So we have to ensure that our stores are not loaded with high inventory, but also ensure that we are able to refill faster at the front end. That is the thing. And what do you do with the fast moving inventory? Every month we are launching, so not every month, every week we are launching new SKUs. So what do? We do like ABC categorization of the stores, and then we say what are the top stores, where how much has to be launched. The entire planning cycle goes behind it. And with advent of BIS, so a lot of people will be knowing the Indian government is going very strict on the quality. So how it is changing? Earlier any karigar, we call karigars to the people who manufacture shoes, or a mochi would manufacture using any raw material, make a shoe and sell it. There are no set quality patterns. Now government has come with a BIS standard for shoes, wherein it says what type of raw material has to be used, what testing has to be carried, so that your feet is not damaged. All these things have been taken care by the government. So overnight what has happened, the focus has changed from just providing shoe to providing a very high quality shoe to a customer feet, which gives that feeling of comfortness. So this is a big change what is going to happen. The industry was not ready for it. Government has shifted from July to 1st of Jan, but from Jan you will be seeing most of the footwear that is coming will be coming with a BIS standard. Okay. Most of the products will be manufactured in India, because a lot of factories which are manufacturing outside India India was still importing a lot of footwear and accessories are not gonna come under that BIS. So go local and manufacturing India is like that. What big change what we see from our side. Thank you.
So can we say that we've grown up the Maslow's triangle from roti kapda makan juta, now you need 10 juta and more juta, you know. So I think I'm in a very happy space, because when we talk about clothing, you know, there used to be one Banarsi sari or one Kanjivaram sari of your mother that would, you know, carry forward for generations. Now it doesn't matter whether it's an original Banarsi or it doesn't, not to say that that's not important, but what really matters is that one picture that goes up on the Instagram, that one selfie, and you don't end up repeating clothes. So there is a lot of need and demand for fast fashion, how much ever we talk about sustainability. I think that is what we are seeing in the apparel sector. But I want to bring in Chetan here and want to draw parallels, Chetan. I mean, we have a different sort of a challenge in, you know, in the lifestyle segment, but in the FMCG segment, have you seen a greater change post-COVID in the demand or the supplies or the logistics? Do you think that is going to stay, or do you see even bigger change coming in the recent times?
Thanks a lot, and happy to be here in this session talking about how the unified supply chain can work and what exactly is evolving. just before I start, I belong to one of the most loved brands of India, which is right now present on everyone's tables, which is one of our brands called Mentos. So I belong to Perfetti Van Mel, which is a confectionery brand and a leader in gums in the market. So, right, very, very aptly put in that the entire scenario after COVID has completely changed in terms of what the customer or a consumer demands now are versus what they were earlier. So we are seeing a paradigm shift in the type of consumption, the type of the demand, type of channels at which people are buying. Earlier there used to be like one particular person going to a retail store or a brick and mortar store and then buying, versus now everyone has handheld devices, handy devices where with the technology you can order at the blink of a second and get it delivered within the next 10 minutes. So that is where actually the entire change is happening in terms of the customer's demand and how the entire ordering pattern itself has changed. So we are seeing a drastic change in the modern trade segment or in a e-commerce segment, and now the new baby which has come in is the quick commerce, which is rapidly expanding with the Blinkits and the Zeptos of the world, where you can get say a delivery happening in 10-15 minutes. And who would have imagined that people will start ordering candies online for a delivery in the next 10 or 15 minutes? So that is what a drastic difference that we are seeing in terms of the changing consumer demands. People being more, I would say, localized in terms of the more events we try to find out, to interact, to meet other people, and as and when you meet, you have more occasions to celebrate. So now things like, or events like Halloween in India is also a big event. So there the gifting, the distribution of candies, you call it Holi, you call it Rakhi, when friends meet, when families meet, even now when kids meet, their counterparts or their kids from the same school, they also exchange gifts. Now that gifting is also generating a demand in the market to give them a customized pack where they can get and they can look for what they are looking for gifting as a solution. Plus there has also been, now with the evolution of e-commerce, there have been normally two types of customers which are there. One which comes in to look for the value. So there they want a specific product which is going to suit their need. It could be gifting, it could be say stocking, it could be any other reason. And the another one is who looks for a value, that if I am buying something online, it is going to be cheaper and it is going to be delivered at my place versus when I am going physically to buy there. So both the customers have different demands, both the customers have different sort of a requirement which we actually are evolving, we are trying to cater to. And also I'm sure most of you would be knowing that when you sell any food product in a modern trade channel, it is not that for the entire shelf life of the product that you can sell. You can only sell it to an initial say 25 or 30% or 35% of its shelf life. After that, the chains do not take it. So if you keep on making exclusive pack, you keep on increasing the inventory for these packs to maintain a higher fill rate, to satisfy the customer needs, you are actually going to fall in a trap where you might end up with a lot of obsolete inventory which you cannot do, which you cannot sell in a general trade channel because the customer there won't buy, they won't come to do that. So that is also some sort of a challenge that we are looking at. Plus I'll also touch upon the demand planning section of it, because most of the organizations or companies or FMCGs use one or the other tool, or still it could be an Excel based or Python based or macros based, a demand future forecasting, time series forecasting model. With the COVID happening, with 3 years completely being washed away, it's very important that the entire data cleansing of the past has been correctly done, so that you are able to make meaning of that, you are able to preempt the futuristic demand, at least for whatever your base SKUs are. And the best way to do that is have a robust sales and operational planning process, which is called an SNOP process, which should take care of what your changing, evolving demands are. Where would you need actually a capacity 2 years down the line, something new that you are trying to innovate, how rapidly can you respond to a customer's requirement? And that is how the entire system or the confectionery segment is what we are seeing as evolving.
I think in that sense, all of us are on ground zero when we talk about the data analysis. You know, post-COVID, the kind of data and the dynamism of the data that is coming in, it is not that you can sit over 2 months and analyze the data. I think one thing which is very common, that the data has to be analyzed real time. You know, it's not that you can sit on data after 6 months and say that this is what my planning is going to be, because this is what my cycle has been over years. I think the markets are changing and evolving very quickly, and that's what we are here to discuss. Thank you so much, Chetan. And we'll move to Anurag on the other side, from the impulse purchase to a very, very planned purchase, you know, from buying Fevicols to Dettol, of course. So it's a very planned purchase space that you're in. So would you like to touch upon, you know, how things have changed from modern trade, general trade, modern trade, and now quick commerce? How has the demand changed for you and the business supply chain?
So thanks, Varija. So basically, the penetration of the modern trade or the e-commerce in our channel, let's say for Pidilite, it was actually lower. However, with the pandemic coming in and actually things going on lockdown, they were the ones who were supplying the essential stuff. So if I speak about my previous organization, Dettol, obviously the demand had increased and we had to supply and meet the demand because it was an essential category product. For example, hand sanitizer, hardly the penetration was there in the tier 1 cities of India, and then the penetration went to the rural towns. Similar, so the consumer base increased because of this penetration. If I talk about my current organization, so majority of the sales of Pidilite happens through the carpenters and dealers and hardware shops. So there also, because of this pandemic, there was a change in the thought process. So we saw obviously certain products like colors or painting kits or DIY kits, do-it-yourself kits. The demands for them increased because people were sitting at home and they had time idle. So for repair purposes, let's say Fevikwik or M-Seal, the demand increased. And overall, because of this shift of increase in the consumer base and because of this accelerated digitization towards the modern trade and e-com, this channel is evolving and the organizations are actually putting now much more focus on this because they see it, even the traditional businesses, they see it as an important channel to reach out to the consumer.
I think also because now even the carpenter has a smartphone.
Yes.
So you can't get away with being on the modern trade in the quick commerce space.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of integration has happened where the orders and everything, they are getting generated by the dealers, big dealers, carpenters through phones, and they are actually being captured at the distributor end and then sent as signal to our warehouses from where we can supply them.
I want to bring in Vijay here. You've heard both impulse purchase as well as very planned purchase, and do you agree to what Chetan and Anurag had to say with regards to your experience? For, if you were to compare a general trade, a modern trade, and a quick commerce, how do you see them growing in the coming time with reference to your sector?
Sure, thank you, Varija. So, based on my experience in the FMCG segment, where I have been involved into the core FMCG companies like ITC in the past, and then currently with the Ghodawat Consumer, which has multiple business entities in staples, impulse, or any other aviation segment as well. And these are very diversified fields of segments in terms of the demands are. Now, when we talk about these three, the channels that we are talking, either general trade, modern trade, or quick commerce, which is the new entrant in the entire gamut of the distribution piece of it as far as supply chain is concerned. See, definitely general trade is going to be staying in the market, and that's where most of the companies are dependent upon. In most of the companies now, earlier it used to be around 80 to 90% of the business used to be general trade business, and modern trade or e-commerce was hardly around 5 to 10% business. Over the years, from the last 5 to 10 years, modern trade and e-commerce have come up very fast. And in last, I would say pre-COVID, modern trade was very, very fast in terms of entire business scale to be concerned, and that business, I think, rose to the level of almost to 12 to 15%. During COVID, suddenly e-commerce came up very fast, and then e-commerce, which was somewhere around 2 to 3%, went up till to 6 to 7%. And then post-COVID, again, quick commerce became the fastest in the I would say, emerging space of the entire distribution aspect of it. And every business has absolutely different level of challenges when I talk about supply chain. Distribution has its own channels where small distributors are there, or the largest wholesalers through which the distribution happens. Modern trade is completely different, where the large setups are there, different SKUs are there, different distribution system is there. They want appointments, they want very limited SKUs, they want larger packs. In case of my grocery, I would say, which is online segment, e-commerce segment or quick commerce, they want very few limited SKU but very large assortments. So now when we talk about supply chain distribution part of it, we need to have different SKU assortment as far as the supply chain distribution planning and execution part of it. Now to encounter all these problems, we have to be very, very specific in terms of entire demand planning part of it. When we discuss with the entire sales team and the marketing team while our SNOP being completed, we talk on all these parameters, that how to segment these particular channels and then how to service all these channels accordingly. And then digitization plays a very, very important role in segmenting these particular channels and then accordingly doing our SNOE or SNOP part of it. And that is how we are playing both physical as well as the digitization piece, putting together into it, and then finally reaching at a decision that what has to be taken forward in the entire distribution gamut of it. This is what we are doing, but at the same time I would say that all the channels are very, very important as far as the business has to be or business is concerned. Definitely general trade is not going to go away, though the pace has come down from I would say last 3-4 years where it was more than 10%. It has come to around 8 to 9%. In case of, I would say, modern trade, it has gone a little higher, which was around 5%. And in case of quick commerce, it is going very high, which was earlier around during COVID times 15-16%. Now it is going almost 15 to 20% faster pace. So very important scenarios, and then accordingly our supply chain is moving, and then the planning is also moving. And then same way our tools for planning and execution are also changing. One important point that I want to bring into the aspect of it, that when we are talking about all the tools that we are using for digitization, we are talking about SAP, Oracle and all those things which are basic ERP softwares for any planning or execution part of it. These are not the only softwares which are helping us the entire planning part of or execution part of. We have multiple supplementary softwares which are helping these main softwares where we are depending on our decision makings are very important with the main softwares. So I think whatever is our need, we should use those softwares accordingly, and accordingly the planning should be done with the help of the entire multiple functions that we have. And that is where the supply chain experts' knowledge and experience is coming into the picture. And then that is how our entire experience and I would say business will grow in future.
I think in FMCG, the data analysis anyways has come to the next level where you are not only monitoring the inventory, but you're also monitoring the demand, and you're also monitoring now that you're talking. So when we are talking about quick commerce, see, delivering that one bhujia or one biscuit packet is not going to cover the cost of logistics. So what really works is, what he's talking about is the value packs. The average order value has to increase. So with the biscuit, maybe you're also in your value pack you have a coffee and you have a bhujia or you have other snacks, so that you are probably ordering 10 things in one go and getting an additional discount. So that is another level of planning that we are looking at now post-COVID, which is sort of become more mandatory than a pre-COVID. But I think one segment which was always in demand was liquor. So I will have Saurabh bring in, and what he does is very interesting, and first I want you to elaborate on digital architecture, the space that you have your expertise on, and how you are sort of applying that in Diageo.
Sure. Thanks, Varija. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity. So again, I'm not talking about my role, but there is a role which is typically coming on in the digital world, which is called enterprise architecture. What does it mean? Whatever the peer panelists they have talked about, good amount of business processes are out there. At the end of the day, we have to get the technology so that we can catalyze the speed of the planning. Otherwise, going on the like Excel planning and something is really, really horrible. So that's where the role of enterprise architecture typically comes into place. be it Alcobev company, be it FMCG, I was in Pepsi earlier before this. That is the biggest thing what we have found that, yes, business do have the requirement. And let's talk about a typical supply chain. Maybe let's take an Alcobev supply chain. Yes, let's take Scotch, which is like typically manufactured in Scotland, of course, and any other spirit which is not manufactured in Scotland is not called Scotch. But it has a lead time when it comes to India. Imagine the demand signal, how strong it has to be at 70, 80% of the forecast accuracy. And that's where a typical planning process comes in. And I will just take you through a typical way, how business define the problem, how our IT world can take that as a digital capability, and then how the softwares can be selected. And rightly mentioned, it cannot be one software, it can be many things. But then at the end of the day, you need to have a right integration, otherwise you're gone again. Yeah. So let's start with a very high level, the typical end-to-end supply chain planning process, which is your SNOP, your SNOE. Now there is something called demand sensing, which is also coming in, that only impacts your replenishment planning in the horizon of 6 to 8 weeks from now. It doesn't impact your manufacturing unless your manufacturing is good enough to do fast things. Okay, that's the demand planning. Supply planning, of course, we are aware of production planning and so on and so on. So that is where all the examples what PA panelists have given makes sense, absolutely makes sense. But can we convert that into more digital capabilities and have an architecture on the table? It's a blueprint. How these things will work. We need not to go and really define what exactly at 10 a.m. one should do. But at a high level on a paper, we should define that very clearly, what it needs to be done. And then we go and fetch out through a typical functional requirement selections. Again, business is responsible. Business means the stakeholders from the business teams are responsible to say yes or no from the fact that whether the functional requirement meets their requirement so that they can enable their process, yes, it is there. But functional requirement is not the only requirement. There is something called end-to-end process orchestration. Imagine a situation when we have a software 1 for demand planning, and that only for SNOP. Imagine 2, SNOE. Imagine software 3 for demand sensing, supply planning, something else. What is happening? Take a simple scenario of your product master. Most of the companies do have a product master, but imagine SAP is sending product master to 1, 2, 3, 4, and everyone needs to talk to each other in a real time. Do you really think it is going to be ever possible for you to have a beautiful end-to-end planning happening on a real-time basis? Never. Even if you bring a data hub in between as well, no, it's not going to happen. So that's where you need to be very careful. Do you want to go with the best of breeds for a given point of functionalities to enable that piece? Or do you want to go for a platform? It may not give you best for everything, no. But it can give you the agility to do a replanning. So that can be a one single approach, which we can talk about. And of course, once you finalize, agnostic of technology, what kind of architecture you want to go, then of course, hundreds of, not hundreds, like at least in planning, easily 15, 16 big vendors are already available. Yeah. Rightly mentioned, Oracle, SAP are there. Again, you need to be very careful about your maturity, because we can always target and getting a best in the breed of the world, which can help you in taking the maturity 5. But what if you're on maturity 1? You can't go on maturity 5 in 6 months, no way. So be careful about that thing. Select based on functionalities, a typical technical orchestration fit of the process, and so on. And frankly speaking, whatever I just mentioned can be done for any business process, right from procurement to your sustainability. The same thing goes in. Typically what happens, I know I'm overshooting the time, sorry for that. Typically what happens, we start our requirement from a technology name. So right now I'm working something on autonomous negotiation. Somebody has already finalized the technology. Now we are trying to force fitting it. It's not going to work. And that's where our IT costs become very expensive, and then leaders will never approve our ideas. And then we say, oh, leaders are not supporting us, we need this technology. So be careful in that piece, and that will help us. Yeah?
Absolutely. I think in current times, you know, the organizations which have started their businesses or have been there before the COVID era, we are trying to plug in technology as and when required. We are trying to plug in softwares as and when required. But what I have observed that post-COVID, the startups, the technology is the base. And then they plug in their systems, then they plug in their operations. So technology has become a mandate now, and there's no running away. And I want to bring in Pratap here from the IB group, and you know, you're dealing with lives, you're dealing with chicks. So it's not just about a product that will get expired, you lose lives. and how do you bring in technology, and has it been a different kind of a challenge post-COVID?
Thank you, Varija, and thank you, entire supply chain team. Good evening, all of you. For demand and forecast, we are talking about, because we are having a multiple business and we are an end-to-end supply chain. We are a feed manufacturer, we are a egg sourcing, we are having a egg sourcing 65% internally, 35% we are approximately outsourcing. After that, we are having our own hatcheries where we are having producing the chicks. Then we are supplying the chicks. Then after that means we are having a feeding manufacturing plants, which is routed directly to farmers through a secondary logistic model, and approximately 25% directly to our plant level also to reduce the cost. Now we are talking about planning part, because this is end-to-end cycle. Once means there are different teams are working on that. If we are talking about earlier, before means onboarding the that model, that system we can say, we were doing a work on Excel, but as on today we are talking about, we are having a such type of system where on a daily basis that farmer is updating a system, how many mortality, how many shortage are going to be continued, how much feed consumption we are going to do as on today. On basis on that means that another team, that execution team, that supply chain will is taking accountability how they can supply the feed. If suppose they are having some timeline also, that life cycle of 21 days, when the chicks is converting into birds. Now this is as a market consumption, because we know that means approximately we need to depend on market crisis also. Means that is means maybe that festival season, maybe that is another market condition. So according to that, if we are unable to sell the bird, then we need to supply the feed. But as per system, that is there are some locks, there are some pop-ups, we cannot supply the food. Then that lock will open, then we need to supply the feed again. But we don't know how many days means we are able to sell, means that 10 birds or maybe 50% of the bird we are able to sell that. Then that assumption will come from the market. So on that real scenario, then we are able to making an analysis on that, and we are supplying the feed. We are fulfilling the demand in that way. In same type of egg business also. Means suppose means we are having an internal sourcing of egg, and means we are having an internal own hatcheries also. Means we need to set up the egg also as per market condition. In some particular area, means suppose as on today we are talking about that in Calcutta or eastern area, means that Durga Puja is coming on. That sale will come down. Then on what we need to do? Then we need to supply the minimum chicks. Then we know that. So that cycle is going on, and according to consumption and the real analytics, we are taking a call on that. Now as on today we are talking about in numbers, means approximately we are able to achieve our number 65%, because we recently were onboarded, and there means we are changing a lot because that means if we are talking about end customer who is illiterate, means we need to see now that second thing is adoption, the skills. We are having systems, but we don't know how we need to use the system, number one. Number two, how much capacity and how much the percentage we are going to own that output of that. So right now means our customer means that is illiterate also, literate also, but we are going to literate them. So that's why numbers are less, but we are expecting with the coming year we are able to 65 to 80%.
Lovely. Yeah. So now that all of us have told our problems, we have a man, Rahul, here, and I'm hoping he gives us some solutions.
Thanks, Varija. I'm happy that at least I will get a business from this panelist.
I definitely need some royalty.
We have the solution for
only then I'll let you speak. So if you tell me that I'm getting a commission on this, then I'll let you speak.
Of course, I will give the free consultation for your.
No, I don't want anything free. And there are no free lunches. So Rahul, of course, is in the space of automated, automation in the warehouse space, and that has been the pain point for a lot of us. So Rahul, would you like to elaborate on the services that
Yeah.
your organization is offering?
Thanks, Varija. So, the, like warehousing automation in this space, there is advancing very rapidly. There is a huge transformation happening. Let's say from the in all across all areas, especially after COVID, we have seen there is a huge demand for these kind of technologies, and there are multiple technologies available to address different pain areas. If I broadly divide the warehouse into different parts, let's say one is the storage, then your internal material movement, third one is the picking, and then the shipping. So all the areas we have many kind of automation technologies available. If I start with the first part into the storage, which is the main prime goal of most of the organizations, how to increase the storage capacity or density. Okay, so there are many technologies nowadays which is a prime goal, and there are technologies available in the market like ASRS, automated storage and retrieval system, being its pallets or the totes, and we can go vertically high. Just to give you the number, up to 40-meter height, and density, storage density we can increase up to by 50 to 60% compared to manual warehouses. Now the second challenge in the industry is the of course the your storage increases is the higher throughput, because after GST we have seen there are a lot of distribution center consolidation happening. So throughput is going very high. So there ASRS gives you very high throughput, very reliable, very safe operation, and of course it will reduce the manpower. So that's one thing. So in ASRS I would say, in short time we cannot cover everything, but there are many technologies available based upon industry type of SKUs. We have single dip, double dip. There are new technologies in the market which is like shuttle based system, which can give very high throughput for a low SKU products, and even the 4-way multi-way shuttles, which is very quite economic solution when it goes for the increasing the density, storage density. Other part is like, if you see, is the transportation inside the material movement inside the factories. So we have rail guided vehicles options, like which is very attractive choice for the most of the industries, even manufacturing, warehouses, like pallets transferring from the end of the line to the warehouse, or from the warehouse to the shipping docks. These are the shuttles keep on moving in a single loop, very reliable, low maintenance, and which can deliver throughput as high as 500 pallets per hour. Then coming to the, especially in we discuss about fashion, e-com and retail, there has been a technology, huge changes in the technology in terms of storage, like tote storage. Normally these industry prefer to store the items in a totes, maybe 600 by 400 crate. So there are new technologies coming up, like Logimate is actually system logistic word, but it's a shuttle based technology which works in combination of multiple elevators. We can go again vertically high, and it can give very extremely high throughput. Let's say I am talking about extremely high, like 1000 totes in per hour, 1000 totes out per hour. And then the systems is next connected to the maybe picker or some automatic robotic picking system for faster order execution. These technologies is like demand has been coming growing in terms of FMCG or in e-com segment. Then another is for material movement. We have AGVs. Now AGVs, but nowadays AGVs are more smarter, more flexible, with a natural navigation. You don't need anything, and it can do the collaborative working with a human. So it's that safe. So AGV is changing the how the material used to move inside the factory. So that's one new technology, AGV. And then coming to especially in picking application. So that's what the demand coming up from the market. So in terms of picking, we have many technologies. Let's say robotics and AMRs, autonomous mobile robots, small robots. These robots can do variety of tasks, like transporting the material or sortation of orders, or used to help picker to pick the cases and all. So these AMRs use kind of algorithm for navigation. It can detect the object and all, and it can again works in collaboration with a human or the picker inside the warehouse. That's one growing technology. Another technology is like, if you see nowadays, like especially in e-com and retail, is like goods to man base. The small bots working in a warehouse, fleet of small bots, and they bring the shelf to the picker in a sequence, in a picking sequence. Operator just need to pick items, so he can execute lot many orders in small time, and these bots manage the complete storage, inventory, location, everything inside the warehouse. So that's one new technology, and also this, to assist this kind of technology, there is a new, earlier we used to use a lot of handheld terminals for the scanning or the location identification. That is still there, but now is new is like, voice and augmented reality, AR glasses are coming in the market. So you get a, voice signal on headset, picking instruction on headset, and operator will go for accurate picking, fast picking, and inside the warehouse, and no need to search or look for the items, lot of items. And then apart from this, there is a new trend in like picking automation, picking and the packaging automation. So robots are so smart, the gripper of the robots is nowadays as a vision sensor. It can pick up the even single piece from the tote or the box, even if it is not properly organized. And then the robot send it for the packaging automation, then further it can be sorted and shipped. So those kind of technologies are available. So and the one best part of this kind of technology is like most of the technologies are, it doesn't require a huge changes, in terms of civil requirement. Okay, of course, if we want to change the storage, we need a lot of height and building and everything. But most of these kind of technologies, picking technologies, are quite smart, flexible, scalable. You start with a couple of bots, and then keep on adding the bots as and when through your speed increases. So that's one flexibility, these kind of technologies you'll give it, you get it. And of course, these all technologies driven by warehouse management system, smart WMS and AI. Now the WMS is getting more and more sophisticated, not only restricted to for the inventory management and all. It can give you real-time visibility, as you mentioned earlier, on different inputs, whatever you want, like even the inventory levels or whatever factors, route planning, whatever we decide, we set on that. So AI can be configured, which can be work in sync, integrated with the WMS. Then of course there are a lot of things are moving on IoT.
I think one common thing across the platform is that there's no running away from technology.
Yes.
And there's no running away from Rahul.
Yeah.
He will not let you go.
Correct.
But I will cut you short because I've been a very good moderator and I have really structured, we've had a very structured conversation, but this would be incomplete if we don't have the audience participation.
Correct.
So last few minutes, I just want the audience to, or anybody who wants to say anything. Tapasvi, go ahead, scrutinize us, grill us. Can we have the mic? So all the panelists are here. You're most welcome to connect with them offline for a detailed, because I have series of multiple questions written here, but you've got a feeler and a teaser of what everybody does.
So my question is to Rahul.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll let you speak more. I'm
Yeah.
giving an opportunity.
And if you get business, I am getting the commission.
Yeah.
But I got it from
Already you got it.
No, ye cheating hai, cheating hai.
But I think this is the next, second.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Rahul, you have discussed about technology, okay, and the requirements of different businesses are very different, okay.
Correct.
But the thing is, see, people have moved from warehouse, go-downs to distribution centers. Now you're talking about ASRS. Now we have our colleagues, okay, like me or Arvind or Raymond or Perfetti or any other like Metro brands, okay. All these are there. Why can't you build an ASRS center and say that, okay, people come and utilize it. Then the capex of these people will reduce and they will definitely come and utilize, right? You're asking, I told that.
Yes.
It's a business idea, man. You should get a bigger one.
Sir, I think idea is very
You
nice.
always depend on people to, build respective companies. They have to invest in their manufacturing facility and then build up the ASRS. So why can't you have a model ASRS and then let people come in and utilize it?
I will answer this question, sir. As I start the discussion, the demand has been increasing so rapidly, okay,
Exactly.
in the market. Industry is expected to grow at CAGR of 25%. So I'll tell you the reality. All these, major, the suppliers who make these kind of systems are actually overbooked. Okay, that's a reality actually. If it is key equipment, let's say ASRS is a overbook. They are getting business, and they are now trying to select which segment to push, or segment to focus, or where we need a small customization. We can quickly complete the project. That's the reality, and that's why I think even our group, which is a 5 billion group, I don't think they will allow me to to set up investment.
In short, he's saying he is too much in demand.
Yeah.
In fact, not only in India, but globally. I am not. I am available.
Anybody else? If anybody has anything.
We have time. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. Great panel sitting right in
Otherwise, you can ask a question from us again.
Yes, please. The mic is next to you.
Yeah, here we are all sitting about talking about supply chain, technology, digitization and whatnot. Big words. I still wanted to understand, and I'm actually very much impressed with the supply chain of Mumbai Dabbawala. And we are talking about the literacy. They are actually not that literate, yes. And still they are doing the 99.9% accuracy. Without any education, without any background on supply chain, without any big words, as I just said, how they do operate, and what should we learn from them, so that we can incorporate the same into our upcoming future strategies and to make our business better. What do you have to say on this?
I will love to answer on that.
Thank you.
I'm working for around last 8 years for change management for organization, not for a single organization, for different organizations. I'm talking about Aditya Birla, I'm talking about Trident, now I am with another organization. Now thing is that means, see, of course, technology is available. We are having ASRS, we are having a TMS, we are having a lot of things. But means if we're talking about adoptability, this is very, very less. If we're talking about, means I started my journey for the TMS in 2016. If we're talking about that time when I onboarded my projects, that numbers were not more than 20%. I given the same free of cost 1 month, because Aditya Birla idea was 1 month free talking period. Then people were not utilizing on that. After 2.5 years, that percentage was 40-45%. Now we're talking about Trident for TMS this journey, that percentage was 75 to 80%. Now still means we are talking about means so much digitalization in terms of domestic, in terms of export, in terms of import. We are not utilizing. And how we can use that? Means we should do reward R&R policy. Means suppose for truck drivers, if we're talking about TMS, how that works. Because once we'll try to award that transporter or drivers, not a transporter, drivers. But now thing is that we were talking about the trucking culture. Whoever is the big fleet owner or maybe that big company, they are approximately 30-35% depend on the own fleet owners. 70% that is a market-based demand. We cannot reward them also. So thing is that means we done a pop-up scheme, means once they, or suppose they are going to achieve their OTIF on time, we are able to give 100 rupee or 200 rupee, that will be Paytm to that person. So we started that. Now according to team-wide, means using of ASRS, using of telescopic conveyors, I onboarded, I failed. I again, means because I was having a multiple business, okay, this is not running in this way, means not working in textile, put it into chemical, put it into paper, that was works. So thing is that means we need, yeah, please.
Yeah.
A complex problem, you wanted a simple solution. The simple solution is process orientation. The amount of discipline, the amount of process orientation the Dabbawalas has, because actually, if you see, they run higher than Six Sigma.
Right.
So the kind of accuracy rate is higher than Six Sigma, being from the bottom portion of the, no digitalization, nothing. So I think in this VUCA world, actually, what is more important here is process orientation, deviation management. So I think they have done extensive research on how to handle exceptions, so by doing that, so that could be the answer where you're strongly sticking on to process. Any particular production stream, we talk about process orientation. So we have learnt it from the Japanese. So I think the process orientation is the answer what you're talking about.
In fact, to also add to it, so though we would have put jargons to the supply chain that we are actually right now executing, we talk about heavy words like sales and operational planning, SNOP, SNOE, that is actually what they've been executing. So what do we talk about in SNOP is a strong cross-functional interaction, which is a cross-functional collaboration. Even the Dabbawalas, they meet at a certain place, they exchange all the stuff which is to be delivered to the different areas. So we can assume that how the logistics function or even a courier is working is actually also something similar. Aggregation at the certain level and then desegregation from that same level. In our world, what we call it is an SNOP, where the demand queues which are coming, they are actually coming when the marketing, sales and the supply chain are sitting together. They are having a cross-functional joint alignment, agreement, plus with the help of these tools, it enables us to make different scenarios as to what do I change, and basis this what my GM gross margin is going to change, or so that it enables my decision making faster. That is what we are actually trying to do with the technology. But obviously there are a lot of other examples across industry, non-industry, from where best practices can always be captured, can always be shared, and can also be deployed.
One answer to this is basically Bill Gates, he was saying, any amount of technology you apply to an inefficient process magnifies the inefficiencies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that is the lesson we take from here. So basically that actually you have process-driven, strong people who are adept in the subject matter, build in strong processes, and you build technology around it, which can become an enabler to the whole thing. So that's the key.
And moreover, the example that she has taken is more in terms of Six Sigma processes, that where the percentage is being talking about. Where in case of the normal organization structure, it is more of demand variability, other factors also coming to the picture, where those scenarios are not there in that case. So I think from your question is more from the Six Sigma perspective, where the percentage is though very high and they are very much disciplined on the aspect of the process execution.
Also, I think it can amplify whatever that they are doing if they bring in technology. So right now, if that exists in Bombay, if the data is collected and if it is rightly applied, if they bring in technology, it can take them to the next level. So I am done with my 0 minutes overtime. That's what the screen shows, and I would sum up in precisely half a minute with a disclaimer that whatever that I will summarize today may or may not be valid 6 months from now. Such are the times that we are living in. Technology is something that we all are looking at in a very big way. At what pace we are yet to see. Is it a FOMO or is it a reality? And if it's a reality, to what extent, we will probably discuss in the next season of this particular conference. I think another challenge that we discussed offline and we couldn't bring it on the stage is the skill development, which when we are talking about technology, do we have the right kind of human resource to handle the technology? Are we skilling them from the scratch, and are the educational institutions attuned to bring you the right kind of human resource? Or we also spoke about attrition at a very high rate, where your human resource is poached simply because that person is much more skilled than what you could have trained them. So training becomes an integral part of every organization today post-COVID. Last but not the least is the resilience to change. The organizations who are rigid, the organizations who are not watching, whose antennas are not up there, I think it will be very difficult for them to survive, and the Darwin's theory is going to act in its best possible way. So resilience to change, on that note, we might change our statements in the next conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Varija, for being a wonderful moderator out here. And on that note, we would like to thank all our panelists for being here with us. Thank you so much, everybody. Varija, I'd like to request you now, please present the token of thanks to all our panelists here, please. This was indeed an insightful and interactive session. Thank you, everybody, for participating, for asking all those interesting questions. Thank you, sir. Varija, if you could come in the center a little
Okay,
ahead.
I'll come
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. He's taking two to make sure that you get the best photograph. One for the commissioner.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Can we all give a round of applause to all our panelists out here? They have taken their valuable time and given their inputs wholeheartedly. Why shouldn't we?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So okay. And sir, I'd like to request you to present the token of thanks to Varija, our moderator. Without her, we couldn't have this interesting panel discussion. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to now request you all to kindly come forward for a group photo. And then after that, everybody, yes, the moment is here. Can you see I've got a lot of gifts in here? Yes. So we're going to be doing one more lucky draw. Actually, not one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my God. I am now excited. And Harish sir is right in front of me. So as we are done with this, we're going to be doing it. Everybody, fingers crossed.